I gotta delete the. Hold on. There we go. We're going live. I gotta delete the. Hold on. There we go. We're going live. I gotta delete the. Hold on.
It's going echoey.
Hold on a second.
It's going echoey.
Can you hear me?
I hear you on the Hangout.
Beautiful. We're golden. We're alive.
Are we live? We're
Yes,
live?
sir. We're live.
All right, hold on. Let me go on the page.
Hello, folks. We are working through technology here in the beginning. We're a little bit early. For those of you who are joining, excited that you're here. I feel like I'm in the dark here a little bit. You have better.
Yeah, you need a little bit more light.
You have better lighting than me. Hold on.
I turn on like all the lights.
Let me
I got
turn
the
on
lights on in the kitchen. I got the lights on in the living room. I got the lights on in the family room. I got lights on everywhere. And even then, I think I need better lights.
All right, put on some more. Let's see. Yeah, a little bit better.
A little better?
A little bit.
All right.
It's all good, brother. So, wow, what time is it? So we still got a couple minutes.
Yeah, we still got a couple of minutes. We're just making sure that the technology is working, that the audio is coming through.
So as we get better at this, I need to get like something that covers everything up. We need to get like one of those screens, like so we look professional maybe.
Oh, you mean like a green screen?
Yeah, something like that. You have it on your phone, don't you? I don't know if you're going to be able to look at it on your phone.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on my phone. I just muted the volume.
Oh, beautiful.
So I can see comments if they come in when it comes on at 8:30, and I'll be able to. You got 2 minutes before people on there. This is good. I think the format is pretty good because I can see you. If you toggle to the other screen, what does it look like?
Oh, they can only see me this whole time. Now they see you. I have to remember, I'm the toggler.
You're the producer.
I'm the
You're
producer.
the producer and you're the speaker. So you gotta remember that when talking's going on, you gotta be able to click back and forth to the different things.
Okay. So I'm the producer.
Yeah, and I just gotta remember that there's a bit of a delay in the live feed. So if I see comments coming up on the screen. Yeah, Alexis is online, and she's saying that Carlos is delayed.
Okay. You're a little, but while we talk here, it should record everything that's on the screen, but I think that was because I had my phone on. So I turned it off. So let's see what happens.
Okay. I mean, I think it should be fine. And again, in the Hangout and in the video that we have here, just understanding that there's going to be a bit of a delay. And I think we're using a new format for a live feed. So we just have to keep that in mind, and I think we'll be fine. And just as a producer, just realizing, hey, remember you're toggling back and forth depending on who's talking. And then kind of go from there, because even as I'm looking at the video feed we have right now, but then I look over on the right and I can see the live feed, and there is like a 20 second delay, like a 10 to 20 second delay.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing that happened when I went live on my phone. It kept saying you have a slow connection or this is going on, and I think that you just kind of. I think this is a great tip for those people who want to be able to market themselves online and want to be able to do live feed and put content online. It's being able to test out different methods and try different things out and see what works and see what doesn't work and see what is the best thing that is going to work for what you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to do. You know.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to mess it up. Like right now, we're on the feed and everybody's coming into the room, but you can't be afraid to mess it up because that's the only way you learn. That's the only way you
Right.
learn. So don't be afraid to mess it up. We're using a program to do this, and we're doing it from the desktop. So most of you know that you can't do any live feeds from your desktop. That's what most people think, but we're using a software that's free. It's called Open Broadcasting software. So if you want to download that, it's free, and you can do it right from the desktop. So, David, I'm the producer, right? So let us get started. It's 8:30. It's
I don't know.
I think it's past 8:30, right?
We're at like 8:31, 8:32. So like, let's jump right into it. I think the two things you have to always realize about live video feeds on Facebook is that people will join on when they see that you're live, but then also the video is recorded. So that's one of the greatest things about these videos is that they'll be able to watch it live and join in to the discussion and kind of go from there. But they'll also be able to go online later and watch the video and post any questions or comments or thoughts of that nature. Like right now, we have a couple of viewers and they're watching, but the goal is to put out some really good content to help people with the topic of purpose, because that's what we want to talk about tonight.
Purpose, yes. So let's get into that. So we had an interesting discussion today about that very topic, and we talked about a conversation that we had a couple of weeks ago about doing what we're actually doing now, right?
Correct.
So I think a lot of times what happens to people, and we talked about this today before we got on live, is that they know that they want to do something, but it's like they're running away from this purpose that they have, and they know, and it's kind of like eating away at them, and they just never start doing it, right? They're kind of out there looking and trying to figure out, like, you know, how do I work more in my strength zone? What do you think?
I mean, I think a lot of times people do. We had talked a couple of weeks ago, and I had put out a video as well talking about, you know, being comfortable and becoming complacent. I think that people sometimes they get used to a very comfortable comfort zone, but they really are used to doing certain things and they do really well in those certain things, and so they don't want to leave that area. So I think the same thing happens when we talk about purpose. Like we think we know our purpose, we think we know what we're called to do, but sometimes it's really just, well, I'm really good at sales, or I'm really good at video games, or I'm really good at music. And what the calling could be is, what's really that purpose is, your calling is you're great at influencing people, you're great at encouraging people, you're great at getting people to utilize their true talents and their gifts. But what you're using it for, it feels great because you're doing it, but at some point it feels empty because it's not the true calling or the true purpose that you have. And so because you don't want to put in the work and you don't want to put in the time to really, really grind down and figure what that is, then it becomes like this subpar type of thing. Like, I know I'm supposed to be doing something different and I kind of like aspects of what I'm doing, but I just don't know what those are, you know?
Yeah, I think we see that every day. In our positions, it's interesting because we talk about this all the time. How many people come up to us and say, "Hey, how do I get into training and development, right? How do I start doing some of the things that you guys do?" But I'm always like, well, why do you want to do that? And the response is, well, I just want to get out of what I'm doing now. So you find that people are just floating from job to job and role to role, and they're just kind of like searching for this elusive purpose and then they just bounce around from, like I said, job to job. So it sucks.
And listen, like I think that there's let's be very clear on this. I think that there are times where people are saying, "Are you telling us to just leave our job and just go do what we feel we're called to do?" And that's not what we're saying to you. What we're saying to you is, if you know your purpose, you know what you're called to do, you know the talents that you have, than you working at a job that is not developing or going to help you to strengthen those skills or those talents to get to that ultimate purpose. And eventually, you're going to dread going to that job. And I think so many times people go to work and listen, there are parents out there, there are people that need to go to work and bring money into their household. I think everybody needs to do that. But there's a huge difference between I'm going to go in with a good attitude because I know the reasons of why I'm working there and I know what it's going to do to help me to accomplish what I want to do versus me just going to work and complaining every day that I hate my job and I dislike the people I'm working with, or why do I have to drive so far, or they're not paying me enough money. If you realize the reasoning why you're doing that work or doing that job, then you realize that there's a greater purpose in it. So, like a good example is something that Carlos and I talk about is like during our daytime or during our quote unquote 9-to-5 jobs, we are working as corporate trainers. So, as a corporate trainer, I've told our companies so many times that the main reason that I work as a corporate trainer right now is because it hones my skill in speaking in front of people. It hones my skill side to understand the audiences that we're working with in a corporate level and working with people. If tomorrow they came to me and said, your job is changing and you're no longer going to be training, you're no longer going to be working with people. We need you to just work on spreadsheets. We need you to just work on a curriculum. Then I would know my time at that position, my time at that company is starting to come to an end. It's time for me to move on to the next thing, the next chapter, because that's the purpose of why I'm at the company.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's interesting in what you said, and you hit on a lot of great points. I think you have two different types of people. And last week, when you had, well, not last week, I think it was the week before when we were on the live feed, you said we were talking a lot about what holds people back from pursuing that thing that they want to do. So I think that's one set of people. But the other set are the people who just don't know. They don't know what it is, and it could be so frustrating because people spend their whole lives searching, like, what is that one thing? And I think one of the big problems is people don't get to really sit and study themselves and find out strategically. Because to be honest,
Right.
the school system is not set up to do that. The school system is set up to put you in a position where you're able to be a functional worker, in the workplace, right? Where you're able to go out there. It was founded in the Industrial Revolution, right? Where you need people working on the lines, where you need people who can sit still for 8 hours a day and concentrate. And that's what school's for. But school doesn't teach you, well, how do you find that purpose? And when we're talking in the context of labor and talking in the context of work and what you do every day. So I feel like there's a gap there. People don't either know how or they don't want to take the time to like figure out, well, what should I be doing? Like, what do I even like to do? Like, what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's your sphere of influence as well. I think that if the American dream I think they've come up with the mind, I need to go to school. When I get done with school, I'm going to go into graduate school, like go into like higher education and get my degrees. After I get my degrees, then I'm going to find a job with those degrees. After I get a job, or during that time, I'm going to meet someone, get married, have 2.5 children. For those of you who don't know, the 0.5 is usually like a pet of some kind. Whenever I say 2.5, people go, "You're gonna have a child?" Like, no, what I'm saying is it's a pet of some kind. 2.5 or 3.5 children. You're going to have a home. You're going to go on vacation this many times. You're going to work so and so amount of years. You're going to retire. You need to put enough money away for your kids to go to college. You need to have money away for retirement or not, because the norm is right now is that a lot of people are retiring early but don't have the funds to sustain that retirement, so they have to go back into the workforce. And so that mentality of what we think we should do gets very, very easily controlling what we do in our lives. I think the other aspect also is when we get married or when we will put our dreams or our calling or what we want to accomplish to the side sometimes because we go, that's great and I really want to do that and I'm going to do that at some point in my life. But what I have to focus on now is providing a stable life for my family and make sure they're up have to do. So if I have to work at this job for 80 hours a week or whatever amount of time and kill myself, that's fine because that sacrifice is worth it to make sure that my family is taken care of. But sometimes, what's that balance, Because I'm going to get burnt out. I'm going to truly get burnt out doing this side, right? And doing the working like crazy and providing for my family. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what we're trying to do is get people to a point where they are working, because all of you who have been entrepreneurs, you know that you work a lot more hours when you're an entrepreneur when you're doing your own business.
Yeah.
And if you're able to do that, but you find more purpose in that, right? If I'm working for myself and getting my business off the ground and getting that going and seeing profits coming in and doing those kind of things and making connections with people, there's a lot more fulfillment I get in that versus I'm working for a company, I'm doing all these kind of things and I'm training and I'm cooking or I'm doing whatever it is. And great, the company got 3% more on their bottom line, but that didn't change anything I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the other part is, so, so I think everybody has a good idea of what we're talking about when we're talking about purpose. But going along those same lines, how does somebody find their purpose? We talked about that today, because like I said, a lot of people are out there and they're just looking and they come to us all the time and they're just asking us, like what are some other things I could do? What do you think I'm good? Things like that. So when you talk about practical tools, one thing that has worked for me really well in terms of like figuring out what that purpose is and boiling it down even to having a statement of like why I wake up every day in the morning, is one of the things I love to use is self-assessments. I love to use assessments and really kind of dig in there and see like, what are some of my gifts, right? One thing that really helped me so much is taking a spiritual gifts assessment. Right. Taking the Myers-Briggs assessment, taking things like that will help you kind of figure it out. StrengthsFinder is a big one. I mean, you can buy the book for like $10 and it gives you access to an assessment that you can take. But doing things like that to really find out like what you like. So that's one way. So self-assessments. David, what do you think?
Yeah, I think assessments are really good to kind of at least get you closer to what your giftings are and what you can utilize those things for. I think people sometimes have to understand that there's a difference between talents and calling and purpose. So like my talents, again, could be I'm very good at encouraging and motivating people to do things, right? Because maybe I was made in a certain way. God made me in a certain way that is able to say certain things in a certain way that's going to get someone to get up out of their seat and do something, right? But could I use those same talents for sales? Yeah, and I could do very well in sales. I've done very well in sales. Could I do that same thing in going into real estate or being working in a car dealership or working at an auction? I could do those things and be very successful at those things. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't feel fulfilled because it's not my purpose. It's not my calling.
Yeah. And what
right? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's a key point what you're talking about there. I think the thing to remember there, right there, where you're hitting on the sweet spot, because like again, my one of mine is encouragement, right? That I know that's like a gift that I have, encouraging others. That's why I get along with others so well and things like that. But I can use it in certain ways, right? I can use it to encourage people, to influence people in sales. I can use it for that kind of stuff. But right. I am energized when I use this gift, a gift of encouragement, like when I go and I talk to kids at a camp, when I'm here on a live feed, or when I'm just doing this, what we're doing right now, and speaking to the public and telling people, helping people reach their full potential. That's what energizes me. So another point besides the assessments and figuring out, is asking yourself what energizes you. Like, what could you do all day? Because I tell you what, me and David could do this all day.
All day.
Yeah. So what is that for you? What do you think, David?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think I see Alexis in the live room. She put down, I think this is your calling, David. Thank you. I appreciate that. Like, but I've known this for some time. I've known that speaking to people and motivating people, the same as Carlos does the exact same type of thing, this is our calling to do this. So what we do at our daytime jobs, what we do is for a purpose, but it's not our calling. And as long as that purpose of why we're doing it is still in place, then we'll continue to do it. But the other thing you have to think about is, how many people do you know? Because I'll give you a perfect example. Carlos and I were talking about this actually today. I've been speaking, and Carlos has been speaking for some time now. Like, we've been speaking for years. And so I'll give you from my standpoint, I work for a company called Teen Mania. And they do like youth national conventions like all over the United States and Canada. And I was an intern for their company, and I became I did a drama for them, and I became a drama director, where I actually got great opportunities to speak to large crowds of people. So the smallest crowd that I got to speak to at Team Mania at Acquire the Fire was I'd say about 1,000 people. That's the smallest group. And that's like arenas, where I probably get to speak to, 100 people here, 200 people there. But the largest group I got to speak to was close to 8,000 people. So I think it was between 8 to 10,000 people. And that was in the Indianapolis Dome for a huge event that Acquire Fire did like once every 4 years. And one of the things that I took away from those things is, man, this is really great, because I'm in the midst of it. I'm speaking in front of groups, I'm speaking in front of people, and people are getting hyped up, and I'm encouraging people, and I'm meeting with people one-on-one, and that was being on tour. And so I came home, and I was getting invited to go speak at churches, and going to speak at youth camps, and going to speak at conventions, and those kind of things, and I was doing really well. And all I was doing was going and speaking. I wasn't about the business aspect or the, hey, let's document or videotape or take pictures or anything. I really wasn't about that at the time. I didn't think about it because I was just like, well, this is just what I do, because it was so readily available.
But
you don't even think about it, right?
But here's the thing: you would do it for free. That's the thing.
Yeah. 100%.
If somebody doesn't like I tell my wife, back in the past, because I've been speaking for a while too. I've been writing for a while. I have a lot of people see that I wrote a book. I wrote a book on marriage. It's called Born Again Marriages, right? So that's actually my third book. So I have this. This is another one of my books here. This is actually the first one I wrote, right? So this is a book that I've been going around speaking about, and a lot of people have gotten a lot from it. But
what's that book called, Carlos?
It's called Life in Five: The Five Principles of Personal Achievement. So this is the first one I wrote. So a lot of people, like, I'll tell my wife, like in the past, look, you need to help me deal with the business aspect of it, because they will take advantage of me, because I will do this all day, all night for free, and I will like bring it all day, all night. I won't even care about anything else. Time will pass, and I'll be like, 4 hours passed already? Wow. Okay, well, let's go. Let's do some more. We could do this all day.
But I think that's what we talked about before. I think are you putting the difference between really successful people that are doing what they're supposed to be doing and people that are complaining about it, and the people that are not, the people that are successful are putting a higher value on their time.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, if you're someone that is saying, like, I want to be my own boss, and I want to be an entrepreneur, and I want to have this and that, and not even material things. It could be material. I want to have this kind of car and this type of a house, and I want to be able to take a vacation with my family yearly, and this is what I want to be able to do, provide this type of lifestyle. But what you're spending your time doing does not match up to that. Then it's kind of pulls it into question, because you're not putting a high value on your time. Because if you're spending 4 hours playing video games or watching Netflix, and you're the person that like goes to do something, and then all of a sudden it's like, it's nighttime outside, like that kind of thing,
Yeah.
Like, I'm not hating on you. Like, if that's what you want to do and you're happy with what you're doing, you're happy at your job, and then do that. But the people that are really successful is because they look at their time as a commodity that they can't get back.
Yes.
So with this, even while we're speaking, we do these videos and we go forward, it's making sure that, like, we don't just do this just to do it. We want to see people encouraged, and we want to see people do something with the skills and the tools we're giving them and encouraging them. But also, like, if we could, we would be doing this full time.
Yeah, that's
and
coming.
that's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's coming.
Right, but that's the conversation that Carlos and I had at the probably October of last year.
Yeah.
And we were sitting down and for a while, I had my hand in lots of different businesses, like getting lots of businesses off the ground and providing money for this startup and all that kind of stuff, because I kept thinking, like, by age 40, I wanted to have money coming in on a regular basis from those investments and from these businesses. So I was working with a friend on doing a video game lounge, and I was working with someone on developing sales training and consulting and doing all this kind of stuff. And one day, Carlos and I are sitting down, and I hadn't spoken for some time. I probably hadn't spoken for motivational speaking or encouraging for probably about a year to maybe 2 years. Every so often I would go do an MC event or would help someone out or whatever it is, but I really just wasn't doing it. And Carlos asked me, "So can I ask you a question?" And I was like, "Sure." And he said, "You're always doing all these ideas for these businesses, and they all sound really good, and you have a lot of energy to get these things off the ground. But what is it? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to do?" And I was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, if all these businesses that you're doing, if they were flourishing and they were making money and they were doing well, what would you do? And I was like, oh, that's easy. I would speak full time. I'd speak to groups full time. I'd offer coaching. I do seminars. I travel. That's what I would do. And so he goes, well, why don't you just do that?
Yeah, and that, why I asked you that question, because I know that's what your gift is.
Right.
Because I've known you for so long, and I see every time you start talking about it, you get passionate. You kind of get up, and people are like, "Yo, why is he getting so animated?" And I'm like, because he's passionate about that. He can talk about that all day. That's what God made him to do, right? So I knew that. So I had to say that. But that brings us to the other point, right? So we talked about taking time to get to know yourself and see what you do. So it's the assessments, the what energizes you, and here's another one: ask the people around you, right? Because sometimes you're not able to see what they see, right? I'm really good at hanging around somebody and kind of figuring out, hey, this is what you're really good at. But what I did an experiment, and I asked, it was, I think, 10 friends, what would you say is my gift? What am I supreme? What's my unique ability? What do I do really well? And what is that? And I got the responses back, and I saw a theme, and the theme was, man, you do a really good job of connecting with people, and you're really encouraging. I feel like I could tell you anything, and you will encourage me and give me the right words to rise above whatever it is going on. So from that gave me further validation that this is what I need to be doing, and this is what God put me on earth for. And the minute you find what God put you on earth for, man, your life changes drastically.
Well, I think it's the same thing when you think of different opportunities and you think of people that, man, these people, they have such great potential and they have such great talents if they would just apply themselves. If they would just go and do something with that. I think that we're often afraid, one, of what people are going to say when we ask them, what do you think my gifting is, or what do you think I think it's tough when you ask someone, what do you think my calling is? I think you went the right route of asking someone, what do you think are my talents, or what do you think are the things
unique
that really make who I am?
Yeah.
I think you can use those things to kind of figure out, okay, then what should I be doing with those things?
Yeah.
And rather than, what do you think my purpose is? People are going to go, I don't know what that is. I mean,
Yeah.
to help people. Okay, so why do you think that is?
Yeah, and you know what the best thing to do is, like, if you think of it, and David and I, we don't make it a secret where we love church, and man, it guides a lot of what we do in every aspect of our lives. And
Right,
one of the things that I was told in church is that your unique ability, whatever that thing that God gave you, it's not for you. It's not for you. And the minute you hold it for yourself and you try to say, you know what, this is mine and this is my gift, is the minute where you will get unhappy, right? So you have to think of it like that, which was what I was told, that your gift is for other people, right? So
right,
you think of it in terms of like, what problem can I solve? That's a big one because we are natural problem solvers, and when you're in
right.
process of helping somebody solve a problem, you will lose yourself in that. And again, you will be able to, like David. David can talk about this stuff all day, and it's because there's a problem that's eating at him that he just doesn't like, and he hates it when people are just going small, living
Oh, it drives me.
for
It
for,
drives me
for
completely insane.
just the small way, and they're not like taking chances and not like at least trying, right? So the big question, David, and you can comment on this, what we talked about
Yeah,
earlier was, if you were told you only had 1 year or less to live, like, how would your life look different, like in terms of like, would you pursue your purpose? Would you want to get to know yourself more so you can really live it up in those last times you have? So I know it's a melodramatic kind of thing, but it's really good to think about it, and to kind of wake you up, like, with questions like that. What would you do?
dude, I don't look at this as melodramatic. I look at it as something that we need to be asking ourselves on a regular basis. So, like for me, asking yourself the question of what would I do if I only had 1 year to live? Um, it's asking myself of two separate things, okay? One, there's the personal aspect of I would tell these people how I feel about them. I would try to get rid of any type of disagreements I have with people. If I have any strife or any beef with people, would I squash those beefs? Would I reconnect with family members or friends who I haven't talked to in a long time and do that, right? The other aspect is, and now there's nothing wrong with that. Like those are the things that normal human beings will be like. I want to travel. I want to go see the pyramids in Egypt. Like those are kind of things. I want to have a steak uh, from this restaurant in Italy or whatever it might be. Right. That's things like personal things that you want to do. Okay. But the things that we're talking about in that year is what are you doing right now that you may say there's some people that might go, I keep doing what I'm doing right now. I love doing it.
Hmm.
Right? It's the same thing when you hear people that win the lotto and they keep working at their job because they really love doing what they're doing. They're a teacher or they're a chef or whatever, and they keep doing it because that's what they feel like they're utilizing their talents and they're called to do that, right? But if you're the kind of person that goes, man, I would leave my job and I would go and help the poor, or I would set up foundations for kids that or underprivileged, or I would go help single moms who are expecting children and they need help. Like then you're tapping now into something that is your calling. You're tapping into something that is bigger than what you are, right?
Yeah.
Like Carlos says, those talents, those things that God gave you, they're not to be used. They're not for you. He put you here so that you can help others that are in that area.
Yeah.
So, like, what would you do with that area? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, you're right. Like, and all those things. The funny thing is, all those things you mentioned, you could do now. Like, a lot of times,
Right.
we're waiting. We're waiting, right? Waiting for the right time. We say, like, I'm at this job, and we keep going back to the job thing, but it's what we hear every day from people. Like,
Every day.
yeah,
Every day.
like I'm at this job, and I don't really like it, but I'm gonna sit tight, and when X, Y, and Z happens, I'm gonna try to do something else.
No, no, you're waiting on the burning bush. That's what
Yeah,
you. That's what you're waiting on. Okay. Like,
yeah,
and we talk about this, and I talk with people, and some conversations I have with people, it's not like I have to be very upfront, and I have to be like, listen. When people go, I'm waiting on a sign to tell me that it's time for me to go do this. And listen, every time we talk about this kind of topic, it doesn't have to be about like for me to leave my job. Okay. It could be something where you're like, it could be a relationship that you're in and you're just like, things are getting really bad, but I'm waiting on a sign to tell me if I should really put in the effort with the person that I'm with, or if I should really put the time in to spend time with my kids, or if I'm waiting on the signal to tell me if I should get involved in church, if I should get involved with a homeless group, if I should get involved with something, right? But it's listen, you waiting for this great sign, you waiting for this burning bush to be outside your house, the audible voice like James Earl Jones telling you to be like, you should go do it. You should be a better wife or husband. You should be a better parent. You should do this and that. It's already saying, but what you've been doing is you've been hearing that voice for a long time and you've been pushing it down.
Yeah.
You've been pushing it down little by little as time has been going on, and then it's not going forward. And I see Alexis put, there's always something that you feel is holding you back, but you need to just do it. It's true.
Yeah, that's
just
true.
Go do something. Put yourself out there. Do something different. Go volunteer. Go help. It's like, I have tons of stories of people that tell me stuff. And the funniest story I tell now is that my wife at one point told me that she wanted to be a teacher. And she said, I want to be a teacher. I think that that's what I'm called to do. I was like, okay. I'm still a corporate trainer. Hey, come in and talk to my class for 15 minutes on the job that you do. Because she's a admissions advisor. And she does the job that I was training people to do in that time. And so she was like, okay. And so she came into the class. She talked to about 15, 20 people. And all she was going to do is talk about what she does now. That's it. Nothing like, she didn't have to read up on anything. She didn't like that, right? And then she had 25 minutes to talk. And she came in and she went, okay, so what I do as a mission advisor is I go from here and I talk to the student, and then I go over here, and then I have a conversation, and then they enroll, and then they put an application, and then they enroll. Questions? You good? Everyone's good? Okay, thank you very much. And it was like fast, and then she was out. And so I said to her, like, what? Later, I was like, what was that? And she was just like, I just didn't. I was very fearful and talking in front of the people, and like I didn't know what to say, and that it is. And I was just like, but that's a taste of what it's like to be a teacher.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
But
that's a taste of what it is. You feel like, okay, I was fearful, but I really liked helping. Then keep doing it, right? You have to get past that fear. I used to hate speaking in front of people.
Dude, I still
hate it
to this day. If they ask me, I remember I spoke at a church a couple years ago, and I literally, like, just before I was supposed to go on, I felt like I had a panic attack. Like I was just, and mind you, this is after doing this on an everyday basis for like 8 years, and I just felt like I was going to just like lose it all. And then, you get out there on the stage and it's so scary. Like when you, and here's the thing, when you sit in the church and you're kind of like in the congregation and you're watching, or you sit in the stands you watch a motivational speaker, what you don't know is when they're on the stage, there's these big, bright, burning, and they're hot lights that are on you. And the thing is, they will melt you. They will melt you. You will forget everything that you wrote down and everything you practiced, everything that you were going to talk about. Sometimes it just goes out the window because there's just terror there. But, if you really want to walk in your purpose, you're going to have to go through that time period. And it's not just a time period. It still comes back. Like the further you go up the line, it's going to come back. And like David said, it's not just about, speaking and doing things like this. It's about anything, right? The further you go with things, and they're just going to hurt in the beginning, and it's going to be scary.
It's interesting because Aileen is in the room, and she put, my problem is I don't know what I'm on this earth to do. And I see some people agreeing with her, like they feel the same way. And listen, that's a common thing. Sometimes this purpose, the word purpose can feel like this grandiose type. Am I supposed to be this guru that's supposed to help people do? Sometimes it's not that. Sometimes the purpose could be like you're just put to be a helper or you're here put as a purpose to help people through situations that you've been through.
Yeah.
So like, let's say that some traumatic things happen in your life. Maybe the reason why you're put here, not because to go through those traumatic events, because those were going to happen, but to help others who are now going through those situations or going to go through those situations, to help them get through those situations.
Yeah.
Right. And the only way sometimes we even know what that is to put ourselves out there. I think that sometimes the fear is because we're in that comfort bubble, we're in that comfort zone, and we say, I don't want to step outside of this comfort zone. So, but I do want to know what my purpose is. I do want to know what my calling is. Okay, then guess what? You're going to have to step outside of this circle, and you're going to have to put yourself out there sometimes. Okay, and you're going to have to do some things that you haven't normally done and you haven't done before to get yourself there.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
I think like my wife is like my idol, right? Because she had this dream, and she knew, like, she would always tell me, man, I think my purpose is just to be a stay-at-home mom and to take care of my family, and she's really good. She has a unique ability to organize and to just have everything together. And that's how it is here at the house. It's not because of me, because I'm all over the place. Like, I'm the type, I won't, like, pay bills on time. I'll forget everything. My stuff will be all over the place. But because that's her gift, like, everything is always, like, in its proper place. House is immaculate. And she just feels like her expression of that gift and what she's energized by is just being that stay-at-home mom and helping and keeping everything together and everything organized. And I was like, man, for years I would always say, I wish it was that easy for me to know my gift. And recently, she just said, hey, it's time. It's time for me to be that stay-at-home mom. So, she's my idol because she actually she knew what it was and she took action on it.
Right.
So but that's like everybody's saying, like, it's hard, I think, David, it's hard to figure it out because, again, school.
No, but that's a prime example. You just gave a prime example. Like, but your wife knew what she was talented at doing. She knew what she ultimately wanted to do and accomplish. Like, and she figured out what timing, when it was the right timing to do it. It may not be the right timing financially. It may not be the right timing physically. It may not be the right timing, but she felt like this right now, this is when I want to do this.
Yeah.
This is when I think it's time to do it. And, Daniel put, sometimes your purpose is revealed to you as it unfolds. I've tried to force what I thought was my purpose only to be slapped back. The realization that it wasn't my time yet to fulfill that plan. And that's a great thing, because sometimes we think our purpose is one thing, or we think that we're talented in a certain area. And I think that's why, what we talked about earlier, it's so important that we're asking others, the people that are closest to us, the people that we put in that inner circle, which we'll talk about at another time, your circle of influence, the people that you choose to be around you. Do we trust? We've given them the ability to speak into our lives. Do we trust what they're saying? And if those talents, even though we may not see it, people can sometimes see it outside, right, of what we're doing. And then it's are we using those talents now to go and do something with it? And while we do it, because there's these things that you've probably done, or you volunteered, or you tried to do something, and you go, man, that was really great. Like, I really loved what I was doing there. And we don't realize, why you really loved doing it? Because you were tapped in to that calling.
Yeah. And
tapped into that purpose.
You're right. You're right. And you know what, like Daniel said, like, sometimes you, like, try to do it scientifically and you're kind of slapped in the face. I think the interesting thing there is, though, he was trying to do something. So sometimes it is this process of elimination, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I think the part that's bad is not bad, but just maybe not the best way, is just to kind of stay in that comfort zone and not even try stuff and not even try to learn about yourself. I think that's when depression sets in. That's when hopelessness sets in. And that's
complacency.
Yes, complacency. And you know what? A lot of people feel like, could feel like from a statement like that they feel attacked because they're not doing anything. But it's not an attacking statement from David and what we're trying to convey. It's that we hate that and we don't like it, and that's what
Right.
fuels like what we do. And our hope is that everybody here would just be active in that
Right.
search, man, because it's just glorious when you find it, when you finally find that thing that you're supposed to be doing, and that energizes you, and you can do it all day. Man, it's when you're walking in it, and David and I have to be careful, not even with this, not to go over like the time we said we were going to stay within, because again, we could talk about
We
it
can talk
all
about this
night.
all night.
And my wife was out there. She's like, hey, everybody needs to go to sleep. You're talking kind of loudly, and she's gonna come in here, after a couple hours and say that. But I can go on all day with it if I don't have
Right.
those guardrails. So
Right.
because it's great.
Listen, I think that at the end of the day, like, I always think about it as if it's the chef that's working at a restaurant that they're just underappreciated and they just don't like doing it. The people don't appreciate them. Their bosses don't appreciate them, and they're having them cook dishes that they don't want to make. They're kind of just like, I'm cooking and I'm making meals for people, and I see their happiness, but I'm really not fulfilled. It's only until they step out and they like get their own restaurant or do their own food truck and start making what they want to do and making food that they think is going to help make people have it. And they see the look on people's faces, they truly feel like fulfilled in doing it. But there could be the same restaurant that someone is working there, and they're just like, I feel fulfilled by what I'm doing because I'm doing what I was called to do, because I'm learning. I know where I am in my plan to get where I want to be. You have to have a plan sometimes. Like I can't stress this enough. Like, what is your plan like, and are you going over that plan? I mean, me and Carlos and I, we talk on a regular basis, sometimes multiple times a day, where we're going over like, are we, what's the next step? What are we doing here? Who are we talking to? Like, does this make sense? Does this fall in line with what we're saying we want to accomplish, and who we are and who we're not?
Yeah.
Because you can very easily fall into a hole of going, well, I do this well and I can make really good money doing it, so why don't I do a little of that?
Yeah.
And
Distraction.
do the rest. So I'm going to do like 80-20. I'm going to do 80% when I'm the purpose and what I'm called to do, and I'm going to do like 20% of something else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, purpose. So like, what are you doing that's feeding into that purpose? So like I'll give you a perfect example. Like, if I went and I started working at becoming an Uber driver, and I was driving to become an Uber, somebody might be like, but that's not what you're called to do. Okay, but if me becoming an Uber driver is giving me funds to get my family debt free, or taking those funds to help the business that we're running and do it for a certain extent, then it's feeding into that purpose.
Yeah.
Right? If tomorrow I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to start working at a car dealership. Why? Because I'm a good salesperson, and that's what I'm going to do. Then how does that feed into my purpose? Nothing at all. If I take a promotion at a job just because it's going to give me a better position, it's going to have me make more money, but it has nothing to do with the purpose I overall want to accomplish, then it means nothing.
Yeah, I did that before, and it set me back years. Stupid.
So Trisha put in the thing, she said, sometimes it takes an event to happen to see your true worth, future. The event itself, such as being let go from a job, allows you to discover your true path. That's very true. But
Yeah.
if I could be completely honest with you, Trisha, I agree with you. I think that, and that happens with anything. I think that happens with our purpose. I think that happens with our health. I think that happens with our relationships. It sometimes takes a jolting event for us now to take a different path and do something different. So like, it's those people that had a scare of a heart attack, and now they're like, I got to live healthy, and I got to do right, and I got to stop doing this and that.
Yeah.
It's the people that their spouse or their significant other said to them, like, if you don't change, I'm leaving.
Yeah. You know what I call it?
And now they're like, I got to do something different.
You know what I call it? I call it, because I used to play basketball, right? And so I call it like the end of the game when you realize that you're down by 10 and there's 2 minutes left. And you're like, hey, we need to do something different. And and lo and behold, you do something different, and you start to come back, and it gets down to the wire, and you're like, man, we're right there. And somebody turns to you and says, after the game, why weren't you guys playing like that the whole time? It's
Right.
like, oh, you're so right. Like, why weren't we doing this the whole time? You know,
Right.
and why did we wait till the end of the game? So,
Right.
you know, as we kind of wrap up here because we're up against our time, like the big question for everybody here is, you know, again going back to what we talked about, if you had only 1 year, you know, what would look different? What would you do
Well,
different?
there's something I want to touch upon, even what Trish was saying.
Yeah.
Is yes, not being more proactive versus reactive.
Yeah.
But the other thing is sometimes we're waiting on that burning bush.
Yeah.
Right? We're waiting for these events to happen. We're waiting to get laid off from our job. I hear ridiculous amount of people that tell me, once I get laid, is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get that home business going, and I'm going to go and do all these kind of things. And I'm going to speak to this person,
write that
start
book,
networking, and do all this kind of stuff. Like, and in my head, I'm like, have I said that before? Because I've said that before. I've said it like, hey, if I'm working at this job and at companies, and I was like, when I get laid off, then man, I'm going to go full steam and do it this 100%. So sometimes that's a reality check for me to hear people say these things. But sometimes that can be a crutch. That can be a barrier holding us back from doing something, right?
Yeah.
Because then we're like, I don't want to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Because that fear is holding me back. So if I pull the trigger and it doesn't work out, then what am I going to do? But if I'm getting forced to do it, if I'm forced to leave a job or even end a relationship that needs to be ended or end a friendship that needs to be then I want to go do it. Because some of you guys have the thing in your mind right now that you would go do if for whatever reason you got laid off or for whatever reason you ended the relationship or for whatever reason you were healthier.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think what you're doing there is and to who said that? I didn't hear. Trisha? Yeah. So to Trisha's point, like she's right. Like, because if you look at learning, like what I try to do, like in my classes, I create an event where I could jolt somebody into kind of like stepping away from what their everyday is, right? So how this is a good thing to think about. How about manufacturing those events? Like Daniel talked about earlier, how like sometimes you can't find your purpose, but I think you can manufacture events that will bring you closer to it. Like so, but that takes stepping out of your comfort zone. Like for instance, if you think, hey man, I do like speaking in front of people, but I'm a little bit nervous. Let me try going to Toastmasters. Let me try doing that.
Right.
Or if you say I want to write a book, how about let me try starting with an article. Let me, because then you manufacture those events where you get feedback. Because that's what we're all looking for, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's just figuring out. I think we all have. Sometimes I think that the hardest thing is just getting it out there. So write these things down. Start writing down things like what do I want to accomplish? What do I want to do? What do I think my gifts are? Like sometimes it's right. It's putting together an inventory of what I think my gifts are and what I think my weaknesses are. And then asking people that we trust, that we've given the leeway to speak into our lives, like, what do you think? Do you think there's anything that I'm missing? Do you think there's anything that you would add or take away or you would do differently? And then what do you think? And then looking at those things. And then sometimes it's kind of like a recipe, you know, like if I have a bunch of different ingredients, like if I have like a raw egg by itself, like that's disgusting. Yeah. Like if I have flour by itself, it's ridiculous. You know, salt by itself, like it's just ridiculous. Like it doesn't make any kind of sense. But if I put those things together, I put those talents together, then it makes some of the best food that you've ever eaten. You know, sometimes we have to kind of look at those talents in front of us. You ever been at your house, and I'm not trying to run things longer than what it is. Like you ever been at your house and you're looking in your refrigerator and you see like a bunch of different random foods and you say, I'm really hungry. What can I do with these ingredients? And then you like put some of the stuff together and put a little of this on it, put a little of that. Not me, because I don't cook. I mean, my wife does this sometimes.
You grill. You're a grill master.
I'll grill all day long. But have you ever like put stuff together and then you cook it and then you're like, wow, that turned out really well. But you work with what you had. Yeah. Stop wishing that you had filet mignon. Work with the ground beef that you have and get that better to the point that you need to. You know what I'm saying?
You will get that filet. Yeah. So as we close up here, that's a great point. I think a couple of things, David, that we probably want to mention. First, I have a question for the group. So
I think someone else threw a question out on in the chat.
okay, so we'll address that question. But a lot of you mentioned that you want to learn more about figuring out like what is that thing in your life, like what is your purpose, right? So is that something that you would like like a legit course on or class in or something a live hangout like this where you get that information or a framework that you can use to find that out? Is that something that you are interested in? If you are, let us know. Um, Let us know either here or you could reach out to us on the David Firpi Speaks page. We just want to gauge interest in that because that's something I have an interest in. I actually have a book idea about it, and you guys, most of you know that that David and I are teachers. That's what we do every day. So we would love to put together a class or something like that for you. So just trying to gauge interest. David, what is that question that's in there? Something caught your eye.
Well, it's more of a statement. Neil says, "What are the things that people always come to you for help with?" That thing is usually tied into your gift, and that's a great point, Neil, because sometimes we don't know what it is, but like people might come to you on a regular basis and ask for your help at something, or it's tied into a gifting. But remember, giftings are what help us to figure out our calling.
Yeah.
Some of you guys know your gifting. Some of you guys know your talents, but you're just not doing anything with them.
Yeah, you just need to put it in motion. Yeah, to Neil, somebody that has helped me, and a lot of times of talking through stuff. So I know that's part of her gifting, definitely. So next couple of things. So we're gonna have some more speaking events. So we will probably go live from those events as much as we can, as much as the I guess facility permits. Last time I found myself in a weird situation where I planned to be in a classroom setting and it was actually a gym. Some of you came on for that live feed, so I think probably David's going to be speaking next as we work through our schedule. But he's going to be speaking. So next week, David, you want to tell them what we're going to talk about next week?
Yeah, next week, one of the requests that we've gotten from people in the live events or some of the videos that we've done has been, can you go through the pillars of Prime? Because that is the overall umbrella of our motivational speaking company is Prime. And tonight we talked about purpose. Now, could there have been a lot of other aspects we talked about in purpose? Easily, but we didn't want to give you guys too much, and we kind of wanted to kind of go off what some of you guys are saying, kind of talk about those topics. But purpose was the main topic tonight. Next week, if the time allows, we're going to be doing a live feed. And again, look for those previews ahead of time. We're going to be doing a live feed talking about regret free. So what does it mean to live regret free? And if it's not next week, then you might catch some mini videos coming on to give you some quick tips, and then do a live event the week after, because one of the things that we've heard from people is, hey, we want to be on these live events or we want to tell people about it, but can we get more notice? So more than the day of. So I know a lot of people get on and they listen to it or they watch it later. So we want to give you guys tons of notice. So if it's not next week, and we're gonna put out something days before to say what time we're gonna do it and what day, and then we're also gonna put something out that day of.
Yeah.
So if it's not next week, Wednesday, then it would be the week after. We're going to talk about regret free because I know a lot of people were interested in that. I see Aileen's putting yes, more notice. Like we want to make sure that people have the opportunity to join the live feeds and people have an opportunity to do that. As well as we want to make sure that it coincides with if we're speaking somewhere or if we're doing a corporate thing, then we're making sure that live is going on and you're able to kind of participate in that. But just give you that notice,
Yeah. So definitely. So I think this was a great live session. So Dave, we need to come up with a name for these things. Like we'll figure it out as we go.
Listen, I'm interested in throwing it out there. Like I'm interested in getting some ideas from everyone that's been watching the videos and watching some of the things. And Post your comments on the David Firpi Speaks Facebook page. Post your comments even in the video feed. We're interested. Like, what do you think these should be called? Should these be called the Prime Live feed, or what should it be called? You know, we have. I have a video series that I do that season 2 is in the works right now. We're talking through some of the things of the midweek motivational videos that are just quick hits on different topics. But these live feeds, what should these be called? Like, we're very interested in hearing your thoughts. We're always interested in hearing your thoughts and your questions and your comments. And feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah, and two last things, and then we'll if David has any like last word. But two things from me. We like to hear testimonials, right? We like to hear like how are these things helping you, like
right.
like even a little bit, because it's really encouraging and it keeps us going, right? Because we like that. We can talk about the stuff all day, but man, we get on fire when we know that we're really helping somebody. And the other thing is share. Really try to help. The one way you can help us is to share these live sessions after they're posted to the page. Share them with your friends. If you think they're valuable, if you think they can help somebody else. All right, so that's it for me. So again, I guess my last word is just be proactive, right? Somebody mentioned it in the feed there. Be proactive, not reactive. Life is so amazing when you find that purpose and you really realize like why you're on this earth and what problem you can help solve. So that's it for me, David.
Yeah, I mean, the same kind of thing. I think speaking to, we want to hear your testimonials and we want to hear things that you're realizing about your purpose or your walk or getting better. And more specifically, post it as a comment on the actual page. Like, share that on the actual page. Like, we like that. Start a discussion topic where we can start talking about those things, even under some of the videos or some of the postings that we do. And then the other thing is not just share the videos with people after we're done. When you see that we're going to go live, like, share that we're live.
Yes.
Like, you can actually go into the live event and share it on your page and let people know that we're live right now. Like, share the actual page, the David Firpi Speaks website. And right now we're working through the David Firpi Speaks website until our Prime speaking website is complete. Each individually, Carlos and I speak at different events, but we're partners in the same company. So we want that. And then the final thing that I think about is if you know you're more, then do more. Like, we have a high expectancy. Like, don't just bury your talents in the ground and expect that something's going to happen with it. And don't complain about how you don't know who you are and what you want to accomplish if you're not doing something different than what you're currently doing, because that's the definition of insanity, right? We do the same thing over and over again and you expect a different result. So that's my saying now. It's, if you are more, then do more.
I like it. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. And we will probably see you within the next couple of days with some more stuff. I don't know what it is, what we're going to do, but just be on the lookout for stuff. All right?
All right, guys.
All right, guys.
Content is coming.
Bye.
Be blessed.